Good afternoon and welcome to all audience who have tuned in for today. Welcome to the final session of our Financial Literacy Month. We are the last webinars, but they say save the best for last. So today's session, we're going to talk about mental health and what we're going to do in terms of mental health. And let me first introduce our esteemed panelists and set the tone for this session. So the first person I'm going to introduce is Puan Intan Shahira Muhammad Shahru. She is the head of HR Airlines, Group COE, or Organizational Effectiveness and Rewards at AirAsia. Airlines is a sector under one of the worst hit industry during the pandemic, and that is tourism. The second person I'm going to introduce is Dr. Amanda Ali. She is a medical officer with Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia, one of our brave, bold, and dedicated frontliners during the pandemic. And last but not least, Encik Muhammad Mafhin Mokna, Head of Research Department, AKPK, another aspect of frontliners from the financial stress angle. And of course, AKPK is always supported by licensed financial planner in reaching out to financially stretched public. So let me set the tone for today's session. What we are going to talk about is a little bit of background statistics for your info. Why? So that you know that mental issues are not just yourself, if you happen to be one of them, but other people face the same thing as well. In 2019, the suicide rates were 609. In 2020, it has gone up to 631. In 2021, from January to May, the numbers is 468, more than half of that in 2020 already. Well, let's look at domestic abuse. Domestic abuse in 2019 is 5,657. In 2020, it's come down a little bit to 5,260. But oh my goodness, in 2021, from January to August only, we are looking at 4,905. So as you can see, to a large extent, the pandemic has actually affected us in one way or another mentally. And us panelists are no stranger to it. It's just the way we manage it, maybe a little bit different. And that's why your fellow panelists are here to share their secrets of managing stress. So prolonged lockdown results in economic challenges as well as mental challenges. Mental challenges faced by Malaysians range from domestic abuse, crimes, and suicides. As I've shown you, the suicide rates I've just reported shortly. And one of the things that hit fellow Malaysians the most, okay, one of the three main reasons behind suicide rates, the other two were troubled financial stress. The other two were troubled family relationships and emotional pressure. Studies also have proven that being financially distressed is inherently connected to mental well-being. However, financial distress or mental health are not subjects that are openly discussed in our society. So with that, I'd like to open my first question to all my panelists to share their thoughts on this. I would like to start with Dr. Amanda, because she's the frontliner, she sees most of it. Please share your thoughts on this.
Hey, Lynette, thank you so much. Thank you, BNM Financial Literacy Month, for having me, myself, Dr. Amanda, aka Dr. Unicorn on Instagram. But I suppose, when we talk about mental distress, mental distress is basically the root word is stress. So we feel stressed out when things are sort of out of our control. Yeah. So mental distress is when our minds go out of control. So the problem with that is that, our minds are actually the soul of our body, right? Our minds control our body. It tells our body, okay, time to eat. So they will release this hormones called ghrelin, and then you start eating. But if your mind doesn't do that, then you won't eat. So it's as simple as that, which is why mental health is really, really important, because it controls everything. So, for instance, if you're in the mental in a state of mental distress, little stress is actually good, right? It gets the job going. If you're too relaxed, also, hi yo, you'll pass all of the assignment deadlines, right? So, what happens when we are in a state of stress or mental distress? Okay, your brain starts to tell your heart, okay, time to pump faster. Tells your lungs, okay, time to breathe faster, and then it tells our stomach, okay, stomach, no blood flow to you, less blood flow to you. Why? Because when you're in that state of distress, you're not gonna go eat or anything, right? You're just gonna go run, go do something, you full anger, full swing. But I mean, in a short period of time, it's good because it get things going. But over a long period of time, I don't think it's good. If your heart keeps pumping at that rate, we can actually fall and possibly die of a heart attack anytime soon, right? So that is bad. So that is why knowing the early signs of mental distress is really, really important. The thing is, in our society, it will be like, oh no, I don't have mental distress. I choose to be oblivious to the early signs. The thing is, when we have these signs, it doesn't mean that we have mental disorders. Okay, it doesn't mean that we require a psychiatric referral. No, no, no. It's just early signs that we can actually detect, not only for ourselves but for the people around us, people that we love. So, without wasting more time, I'm just going to elaborate on the 9 points that we use in Klinik Kesihatan. It's called the Patient Health Questionnaire that we use to grade, okay, mental distress signs. So, number one, we have simple things, like unable to concentrate. Say you're reading a paper online, but you're not actually reading the paper, you're thinking of something else. Or maybe appetite, you're just eating so much nonstop, can't hold yourself. Or maybe not eating at all because you know what, nah, not important enough, so I'm just going to skip it. And then easy things like just being tired, being fatigued for no reason. It's not like you finished a 5 kilometer marathon, no, but you're just you know that's it, you give up. And then even after being tired at night, this is already the fourth point, you can't sleep. Yeah. Well, maybe you can sleep for the first 2 to 3 hours, but then suddenly, you find yourself awakened at night and you don't know why. And then your heart races and then you start having sweats. Or you just sleep all day. Yeah. You just sleep all day and you don't feel like waking up. And then things like just having no motivation or no drive because you don't see tomorrow, you don't see, yeah. And then, of course, point number seven would be more on blaming ourselves. We feel that it's because of us things happen this way. Or we've done our best at work, but we still feel like, oh no, I still haven't done my best. My bosses and my colleagues will still be disappointed in me. And this self blaming sort of attitude. And then we have the more dangerous form, which is when we feel like, oh no, you know what? I feel like if I don't exist, it'll be better for everyone. What if I die today? Would I take off the load for the people next to me or my family, my friends? Would it be better? So those are all early warning signs. But again, disclaimer, the last point that I just said, which is point number 9, is actually a real warning sign that must be seen by the doctor ASAP within the hour, within the same day, and needs a psychiatric referral. But again, these are just points in the patient health questionnaire that KKM uses. It doesn't mean that, okay, maybe you don't feel like eating for maybe 1 or 2 days. It doesn't mean that you actually you're in a state of mental distress. Maybe you're just trying to cut back on the carbs. Maybe you're just on diet or something. But it becomes a problem when you don't want to eat every day. Then it becomes a problem. Okay. So with regards to the questionnaire, there are actually points. Okay. So everything actually mental health science can actually be quantified, right? Yeah. So you don't just jump and say, oh yeah, he's loco. You just don't name people like that. That's bad. So if you just if you cannot sleep maybe for 3 days, okay, I'm just giving you a scenario, maybe for 3 days, and then you know, because you have something, you know, you have to submit something, or maybe the rent's due, okay, but then after you've paid the rent, or even, you know, just 3 days unable to sleep, and then you're okay, then you only score like 2 points, so that doesn't count. So no intervention needed. But however, if you score say around 5 points to 11 points, then yeah, yeah, maybe we can refer you to counseling. And the thing about counselors is that they're great, they're awesome, they're amazing. Because when you talk about counselors, people keep on thinking like, oh no, you know, they're just gonna talk to me, nothing's gonna be done. No, no, no. There are so many services under KKM's counseling. You know, you've got the sleep hygiene technique, anger management, time management, stress management, you know, even like eating management also they have, you know, so that you can actually control your diet, or we can just refer you to a dietitian. Yeah. So there are loads of services under Ministry of Health. It's just the matter of us coming forward or not. Okay. If it's a more
which we
serious
will
case,
circle around and come back to that, because it's very interesting
exactly.
about
Yeah.
what can be done.
Right.
Dr. Amanda, great. I think that's very good. And also from, sorry, yeah, I just chimed in a little bit, because one of the things that I noticed is you were, just to recap, that you said different people react differently to stress and do different things from your last
Correct.
one. Could I just recap with you that suicidal tendencies will warrant professional attention? Is that what you were trying to say?
Yes, definitely, yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely, most definitely. You can either, well, you can either just walk into the clinic, or if your family members feel that, you know, that there's something wrong there,
Mhm.
that's obviously, you know, it's just a phone call away. You can go with, yeah, you can go with 999, or you can go with Talian Kasih, which we will talk about later.
Okay, very good. I think that's very interesting, because you have just given us a very clear signs of what to look for, and what are the things that will warrant professional help, what are things that we can manage it ourselves. I think that's excellent. And I would like to save your further explanation how we can help ourselves for my second question, if you don't mind.
No problem.
All right, great. Then my next question, no, then we will move on to In. Maybe you can share with us, because what are the things that came out from AKPK, because yours is from the financial distress aspect that gives mental stress. So could you just share a little bit, and then we'll move on to Intan after that, to share what are the things that she see, because I think her experience is from as a HR person would actually help a lot. So over to you, In.
Thank you, Lynette. Thank you very much. Thank you, FEN. Thank you for FNM to having me as one of the panelists and AKPK to support, to provide awareness to society on the financial matters. With regard to Lynette's questions, looking from the financial perspective, financial distress perspective, I think there are quite many cases that we can cite and disclose to the public, where, you know, those who have financial difficulties will have then, you know, low mental well-being, not really a mental well-being, but not really a mental illness, because I think echoing what Dr. Amanda is saying, the low level of mental well-being maybe is not really translate to whether you have a mental illness or not, you know. So you might have stress, you might have problems, and you might have something, you know, low self-esteem, but it's not necessary to have a mental illness. So from the financial perspective, I think maybe if participants is actually following the webinars, because I also following a few webinars before this, there's quite a few cases that have been presented. But if I may bring attention to the principle of, or the philosophical of the financial stress, looking at the spectrum from your financial knowledge translate into a good financial behavior, right? When you have a good financial behavior, then of course, maybe you will enjoy a good financial well-being, because when you have a good financial behavior, you save, you behave in terms of your spending, you really not doing impulsive buying, you really plan. Then after that, you at the end of the day, you will have a savings. Then you get a good financial well-being. And having a good financial well-being, it will then result to a good mental well-being. So this is the equation that I would establish looking from the financial perspective with regards to your mental well-being. Because we did a research on how financial education, financial knowledge will influence your financial behavior. Then after that, how that financial behavior translates to good financial well-being. And finally, financial well-being, of course, will translate to your good mental well-being. Like for example, one of the items, if you're having a good financial well-being, meaning you have a good savings, then if you come across any emergencies, like for example, if you have 3 or 6 months salary savings, then if you will be retrenched, then you will not really stressed in terms of financial. So talking about the financial problems is good, among others, stem from having insufficient income, inability to keep up with the cost of living, low purchasing power, or over-indebtedness. So I think, however, with the current situation, we understand that some of us are still struggling due to the unexpected and unprecedented COVID-19. Because I was approached by one of the friends by the name of someone, maybe I can just put Joe as my proxy. So Joe said that, I have savings in, but when I was retrenched, I cannot be able to get another employment after the next 8 months. So I have run out of my savings, and I now is actually in the financial distress. So in the equation just now that I put it, good financial behavior will translate to good financial well-being, but there is a mediating factors that unprecedented case like COVID-19, we also need to factor in our financial management. So financial problem leads to financial stress, which in turn reduce the overall quality of life and compromises the level of mental well-being. Feeling beaten down by the financial problems and having a low ability to cope with stress can leave individual feeling shame and fearful, which is not good for your life. So they often report stress symptoms such as experiencing exacerbated pain and mood swings. So I think this is very good part of discussion, Lynette. So I am honored to be part of the discussion and hope to provide Malaysians the solutions in addressing financial well-being and mental well-being. So that's my perspective. Over to you, Lynette.
Just a quick check with you. Look, because you have been tracking people under financial distress. Since in comparison to before the pandemic, did you all see an increase of people coming to AKPK for financial counseling?
In terms of numbers, we still cannot see. I mean, counseling, because MCO is actually restricted us to go out and see people, right? And we changed our modus operandi to do online form where you can put your online details, and we will go back and return your call. But technology also gives something that influence people. Some people are not really into putting their problems in their online, but they are actually prefer to go and come forward and see people, right? But I think the numbers are not really telling us the real situation, because MCO somehow giving a structure for people to go and seek advice from AKPK. But in terms of a registration and form, we can see some numbers, but it's not really high because people are actually having moratorium. They are still having repayment assistance, and some, I mean, most of the people culturally, they are not really go into phone call. They are actually prefer to come forward, and hopefully when we open our branches, now we are currently open the branches, so hopefully people are come forward and we try to help people.
This is an interesting point to note, because what you are sharing with us is that whilst you believe that there's an increase in cases, it's just that people are not forthcoming because they're not comfortable either doing a online, which is what you're offering, or neither are they comfortable, dropping you an email or something like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. People actually prefer to face-to-face, and people are prefer to call, So yeah, but we are there to help people with our online form. Yeah.
It will be interesting to see what happens when you start opening up your office. All right, thank you so much. I think that was very interesting from the financial stress aspect. I'd like to move on to the next question to Dr. To Intan. You know, she has a whole nationwide of staff to handle, and I'm sure there's a lot of what she has to share, because financial problems can adversely affect our mental health. I think there was a study by Thomas Garman to say that financial stress also affect people at work, employees, in terms of being present, in terms of work productivity, and to some extent, even fidelity, financial fidelity. Maybe it may not apply to AirAsia, but in many, especially those consumer goods companies, they see pilferage of goods because they want to take things out to sell to get extra money. But nevertheless, it becomes a vicious cycle. So Intan, as HR head at AA, maybe you can share with us what are the common things that you see, because there are people who have no job, they are not flying like what you said. Share with us what are the real situation on the ground. Go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Lynette. Thanks, Pangar, and thanks, everybody. I think you guys summarize a lot of things in terms of what's been happening, right? From a financial health perspective, from a mental health perspective. And like you rightly said, Lynette, I think the airlines industry is the one that's one of the biggest hit industry ever, right? So I think we're only starting to fly again. So if you can see on Instagram and all that, everybody's flying to Langkawi, right? So I'm very happy to see everybody's flying again. So that's one. But in terms of what we've done so far and what I've seen so far, right, I think financial health is one thing. People can actually talk about it and it's been helped, right? So for example, like, you know, Ken was saying about AKPK, and the banks are providing moratorium and all that. But I think the biggest concern for me when it comes to our all-stars and employees are actually mental health, right? Because, you know, financial indirectly leads to mental health as well. And nobody wants to talk about it, right? Because, you know, for me, for once, right, I actually went through a breakdown, right? So, and I didn't even talk about it until much later on. And I didn't realize that I was actually going through some form of anxiety and stress, right? And I didn't realize it until like people around me are asking me like, hey, Intan, are you okay? Right? Because, you know, it's a very stressful environment that everybody's in, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, some people are, you need to stay at home. So that's one thing. You have no connection to the outside life. And your life for the past 12 to 18 months has been literally facing the computer, right? And that's one. And it takes a toll on you, right? And the other thing is people think when you work from home, you have a lot of ample time. It's actually the total opposite, because there's no fine line, yeah? Like, you know, people will just start blocking your calendars because they know, hey, Intan is actually in front of the screen, right? I can block a calendar right after her next meeting, which is 1, ends at 1:30. I can block it at 1:35, right? But, you know, people need to know humans need a break. Humans needs to actually go sit down, enjoy their lunch, enjoy their dinner and all that, right? And people are working around the clock. So basically, when you talk about mental health, it's actually still a taboo, maybe in Asia as well. So nobody wants to talk about it, right? So it is why I think, you know, we didn't realize until much later into the crisis where we realized, oh my God, we need to actually resolve this matter, right? Because a lot of people are breaking down. We are seeing a lot of issues, right? It's not even when we talk about financial health issues, it's a lot of mental, right? Even having kids at home, right? About parenting while working with having kids at home, it's an issue as well, right? So which is why we started to actually, hey, you know what? We need to actually resort to a lot of measures and interventions as well, right? So I think, and you know, Kim, you're right as well, and Amanda, because you're saying that, hey, people don't really like go out openly and say like, I have a problem, right? So what we do is we actually have a lot of channels to allow people to actually go and seek help, That's one. The other one is we are also training people. We're training our internal all-stars by a professional specialist as well to actually, you know, provide the coaching, provide the mentoring as well. You know, if somebody wants to go and talk to you, they're open to actually go and talk to this group of people, right? And you can actually select and nominate anyone that you want to talk to based on this group of mentors and peers that they have, right? So they're comfortable talking about it, because I think it's not comfortable to talk in an open group, but we actually have that counseling sessions. We have an app that allows you to actually, you know, even at night, if you feel like, hey, you know what, I have a problem, you can just, you know, go on the app and actually just talk to someone, right? So we do have that, right? Financial health, like I said, I think we're working closely with, you know, a lot of the government bodies, for example, like AKPK, you know, Bank Negara. So we always invite AKPK to actually give talks, right? Because sometimes they don't know where to go to, right? In terms of seeking help. Yes, the bank provides moratorium, but how do you go ahead with it? How do you deal with it, right? So, you know, every single day we actually provide on our workplace avenues to allow people to understand and socialize and educate when it comes to financial health, well-being, mental well-being, and other areas as well. So people can just, you know, because sometimes people are just not aware, right? Like, you know, I have a problem, I don't know where to go, right? So we're actually allowing different kinds of interventions as well for people to actually go through, whether it's talking to people, whether it's going through an app, or, you know, whether just talking to some peer counseling, right? So it's this kind of avenues that we allow people in our Asia. Yeah.
Intan, do you actually have people staff coming up to you and sharing their problems? Do you have that sort of avenue to and maybe you can share with us what are the common issues amongst your staff that you see?
So basically the common issue of people are burnt out. So
Burnt out, okay.
yeah, one is burnt out. Of course, financial issue is one, because I think everybody knows, right? You know, tourism industry, airline industry, we've gone through a lot. So we have people that are on salary cuts, you know, previously, you know, we put people on furlough and all that, right? So financial issues is one, right? The other one is, of course, mental health, right? So people are stressed. So people are stressed and they feel like, you know what, no matter what, I'm just going to put this back on the back burner and just continuously work. And you don't realize it, right? Some people like just start to eat a lot. Some people just over exercise like me, right? Hence why I lost 15 kilos in the past 1 year. So, and I didn't realize that until, you know, towards the end, I'm like, oh my God, I lost so much weight, right? Because that was my outlet for me when it comes to stress. And some people, when I look at it, like, you know, some have gained so much weight as well, right? So it's different avenues and different channels that people go through, but it's a lot of dealing with stress and anxiety. And, you know, people are burnt out, right? And, you know, there is the great resignations now, because you know what, for the past 12 to 18 months, people have been working like crazy nonstop. And you know what, if you notice nowadays, people just say, I don't care, I'm just going to quit without having a job. Yeah. And they decided, you know what, this is not worth it. This is not worth it for my mental health. This is not worth it for my, you know, for medically, it's not worth it. So they said, I'm just going to quit. I don't care. I don't have a job. I just need time off. And that's been happening right now, Lynette. So I think we just realized this, and it's more of like, you know, rather than let people quit, you know, let's give them time, you know, to actually rest and rejuvenate, or, you know, ask them to go on sabbatical leave. Or right now, right, people can actually work from anywhere. If you choose to like work from, let's say, on a beach for 2 weeks, as long as you're logged in and you're working, for us, it's fine. Because we've gone through so much, right? And people are home for 12 months and they were literally working nonstop. So now we'll provide the flexibility when it comes to, you know, working. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, what you shared just now about people quitting without a job, it's not just in your industry. It's been reported out already. That's happening. People are losing good people because they're burnt out.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to hold on to, you have some very fantastic suggestions of what you have done. But before that, I want to circle back to Dr. Amanda, because I want her to share, because you see, before a person is able to help themselves and make use of what's available, they need to, I think, settle their mental issues first. So Dr. Amanda, could you just help us, what are the things that KKM has prepared for people who have mental stress and what they can do for themselves?
Well, I suppose if you want to ask me on what we can do for ourselves, I think I'm going to need another hour. That's more on stress management tips. But with regards to KKM, with regards to Ministry of Health, you can actually just walk in to any clinic kesihatan facility. If you can scan the QR code, you have your fancy phones, then no problem, scan the QR code and then just fill up the form. If you don't want to come also can, again, we can just scan the QR code online, no problem. But I do agree what In said. Memang we prefer tangible stuff, we feel more confident when we talk to somebody face to face. It just gives that sort of relief. So yes, do walk in, come. Walk in, we give you the form, you can manually fill it, and then on the spot the doctor would see, just a regular doctor like me, I'm no psychiatrist. And then I'll calculate your scores, I'll quantify your scores, and if it needs if it's urgent, then I would see it immediately, and or I refer it to my specialist, or if not, then we can go straight for psychiatric referral. So it's very, very easy and straightforward, but unfortunately not many people realize this. That is if, again, you have the courage, if you know that you actually are in a state of mental distress. But again, like Intan said earlier, the whole taboo stigma thing, sorry lah, huh? Well, Asians, right, it's better like, yeah, like if in the Malay society it'll be like, oh, kena santau or some witchcraft. I suppose in Lynette's society, I think it's more like, hiti, just drink Pru A tea and then you're done lah. Huh? No need to talk about it, just sweep it under the rug. So that's kind of wrong. It's very unfortunate, like the movie, our movie industry. So sometimes, when they portray mental health illness, they always associate it with ghosts. Why? Too bad. Why do you do that? People keep thinking, oh, if I have like stress a bit, oh no, doctor's going to come go inject me with a cocktail of medications, all, then tie my hands in a knot, kurung me in a cage. It's not like that, kan? You can just walk into clinic kesihatan and see Dr. Unicorn, so can, no problem, or any other doctor. Okay, it doesn't have to be a psychiatrist. So that is from the clinic, the primary care, the first line. Or you can skip all of this, say maybe like around 10 p.m. at night, you don't feel good, right? You need to talk to somebody, you can always call Talian Kasih, which is 15999. Okay, and I'm being truthful to you guys. I actually called the line yesterday. I actually checked on them, and I spoke to Miss Isha. And Miss Isha was like, I'm so sorry, my name is Dr. Amanda from Clinic Kesihatan Dr. Kramat. I just want to see how you're doing, like, can you actually refer a case for counselling at 10 p.m.? And she said, what? Yes, doctor, boleh, no problem. That is how amazing Talian Kasih is, 15999, where you can call anytime. If you have, if you're in a state of distress, you need counselling or any form of emergencies. If it's a medical emergency, then drop the 15, like just call 999 lah, or head to your emergency department. That's basically it. It's very, very straightforward.
And for those that are not so serious, as you were saying earlier, that if you those are just they start seeing signs of their stress already. What can they do for themselves?
Like I said, I'm going to need an hour, but what we can try in the meantime, while I'm here, is that I think what helps me most is when I'm stressed, is to just take a deep breath, hold it for 5 seconds, pause, and then only I release. Because when you do that, you actually allow yourself to give oxygen to all parts of your body, and then it calms everything down. And then, of course, drink loads and loads of water. I've been drinking this the whole time, so sorry. If on screen you drink loads of water, it's actually really good. 60% of your body is made out of water. Apart from drinking water, people just think, drink water then so what? But you can actually curb your hunger. Why? Very important point, everybody must listen. When we are stressed, the hormone called cortisol starts shooting up, hitting our brain, telling us, ghrelin, makan. So you go for the very salty, very sweet kind of food, So before your brain does that, quick drink water. Habis cerita, then you can stop that. Okay, but these are just some of the tips. We have loads of other areas, like happy hormones, things that we get. Like Intan, for example, why does she keep on exercising? Because when she exercises, she has this hormone kick. It's called the painkiller hormone called endorphin. So it just numbs everything down. It feels good. You just crush everything. So good for you, Intan. I wish I can be like you and lose some weight also. Yeah. But that's the thing, So different people, they release their stress differently. But this is just what I can say in a very concise manner.
What about listening to music?
Oh, of course, for sure. Listening to music is my thing. Yeah. I like to listen to music. I like to look outside at the sceneries. Oh yeah, one thing that you can do actually, when you look outside at your green trees and whatsoever, try to focus on long distance object. Why? Because when you're in front of the screen, yeah, you're dealing with the screen 24/7 kan, macam Intan said earlier. The nano, that light, that short, very short wavelength light, blue light, it actually enters your eyes, very high energy. So this is very short distance. So instead, pause for a while, look outside of your window. You can do this from everywhere. Huh? Okay, in pun you can just boleh bangun, go to the window, look outside, focus on the clouds, focus on the trees like miles away, or any bukit or any bangunan lah. Okay, so that you actually rest your short distance eyesight. So that is good as well. It actually takes your mind off for a while.
Hey, thank you so much. I think those are very good tips. And I would now like to move into I think last year you all did a fantastic survey. I know the survey results are not ready to be printed, but could we have a sneak preview and share with us what you think and what was working well? Over to you.
Thanks, Lynette, and thanks also Dr. Amanda. You're talking about people stress and eat. Is actually I am one of them. So, right. So go to question from Lynette on the survey. We did a survey. We did a survey on money and mental well-being among Malaysian working adults in Malaysia, and the study was to get insights on the impact of financial well-being and mental health, which is often described as intimate and complicated. So we did a 2 rounds of survey. We conducted to collect empirical evidence before and during the first control movement order imposed due to emergence of COVID-19 in 2020. And the first round of survey involving about more than 3,000 respondents established that there is a significant impact on the level of financial well-being and the level of one's mental well-being. Conversely, low financial well-being leads to poor mental well-being, and affects job performance, often resulting in low productivity, as mentioned by Intan just now. So the result of the second round of the survey, carried out in April last year, established the impact of the first wave of COVID-19 pandemic on financial stress was substantial. So we found that the level of financial stress among Malaysian working adults was increased by 35% during the first MCO as compared to before the pandemic was come to Malaysia. And the most affected are self-employed and those who are working in the private sector. In particularly, maybe aviation is one of the sectors that very badly hit during that time. So due to massive business restrictions, also many were unprepared to manage the unprecedented crisis. And this led to the surge in financial stress. In the research, apart from understanding financial stress, we also try to understand how people cope with the financial stress. So another findings and lesson learned that we got from the survey that, people with more savings are more likely to have a lower financial stress and have a better coping ability to handle financial stress. We're talking about savings since, childhood. I think savings, the terms of savings itself, they have been mentioned over the years. Since when? Since the world is inception of the world, people are talking about savings. And lesson learned from the pandemic, we can see that those who have savings having a better coping ability with the financial stress. I think this is not, if you don't really, research, we can also know. But this research found that only 23% of the respondents are very confident on their coping ability, and this 20% actually majority of them having savings. So meaning the savings is actually a best tools to make people having a coping ability. So from that is actually from empirical evidence that we got from the findings, and also apart from the findings, research also which I found that this is actually a reality and the lesson learned that we record in the report, and this is also lesson learned for the future, and it serves the purpose of the research that not only reveal what is actually currently happening, empirically, and it's also to serve and find proactive measures to help nations to get back on their feet. So Lynette and all the participants, I would like to bring attention to whatever your financial stress level is. We have to make sure that we could be able to detect earlier on financial problem, because like I mentioned, my friend by the name of Joe, you know, he has savings, but unfortunately when he cannot find another job to find a replacement for earnings and run out from savings, and it's actually giving a bad hit on his life. And luckily when moratorium is given by by the government, it's actually really helpful, and repayment assistance, so this is actually giving assistance to our nation society to have a better coping ability. And we also can see those who about a majority of those who stress is actually say that I would able to handle the stress with certain assistance. So meaning the assistance that given by the government is actually very significant. They can reduce the level of stress, but at the same time, the individual also need to focus. I mean, to try to look into find replacement income and whatnot. And AKPK is one of the agency that could help them into giving them, assistance on the debt management program and financial education management. To add on a stigma, please also avoid stigma that if you come to AKPK, you will be blacklisted, and the actual fact is not. We don't have the ability to blacklist people. What's more, to make people bankrupt. So no, please take note that AKPK will not blacklist and not make people bankrupt. So from the research that we found, we urge people to forthcoming to us, to any of measures or redress avenue that have it available, from the Ministry of Health, Bank Negara, AKPK, and everyone is actually giving their consent to help people to back on their feet in this challenging time. So please come forward and seek help earlier. So that's yeah.
How do people reach out to AKPK? Maybe you can tell the audience.
I mean, we have a general line, but I believe that the general line might be quite high traffic, but you can reach AKPK 0326167766, and also you can look at our online platform form that I mentioned just now. You can go to your, you can type services.akpk.org.my. So I repeat, services, services.akpk.org.my, where you can give you can choose what are the solutions that you may applicable for you, and try to put all your details, and we will contact you for solutions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Amanda. Yes, and I would like to echo what you said about having savings, because last year we had financial planners who actually came forward with their clients who have financial plan to say that, well, with a financial plan which they did before the pandemic, they felt better to cope with the pandemic, because they know what to do and how to adjust their financial plan, because they had emergency savings. So yes, we are with you as well. All right, so I like this. Now I want to very quickly, because we are going to go into taking public questions, but before that, Intan, share what are the things that you all have done to help you have shared a little bit. I know there's more to go. Maybe you want to show some of your slides.
Yes, okay, hold on, let me just quickly share.
Yes, because I think these are things that maybe if their employers are in the group, they may find this useful. And yeah,
you guys can see my slides, right? Yeah. Okay, so it's just a quick one, guys. I think we've been talking about it, and I've also spoke about it. So just sharing what we AirAsia have been doing, not just in Malaysia, but in other countries across. So for example, we've got like offices in Indonesia, in Thailand, in Philippines, and different areas, right? So basically overview, we actually have an all-star peer support program as well, right? Like I said, we actually train 156 volunteers from the group, right? And I think to date, we've actually helped about 600 plus all-stars in 10 different languages as well. So what we do is we also cater to the different language in different countries, and it's not English, right? Because some people, for example, at the lower levels are, they prefer to speak in their mother tongue, especially in Thailand, right? So if we have a peer support that speaks English, they can't relate. So which is why we have it in different languages as well, right? We do have workshop and webinars that is ongoing right now. I think we work closely with AKPK, Bank Negara, and EPF as well. So we do have mental and financial health topics that we talk about, right? So far today, about 45 workshops. We've got over 250,000 viewers by the All-Stars. We do have social engagement as well. So like I said, I actually started this workout as well. So yoga, hit class, the pantry, we do have song dedication every Friday. If you'd like to dedicate song, like, Dr. Amanda loves, music. So you can dedicate songs if you want to people. We do have karaoke night last week as well. We did have cooking shows. So we've got like, people, we've got cabin crews that are so good in cooking, right? So we do have cooking shows as well, where people can just log in and they make like pad thai and different types of food as well, which is very interesting and fun, right? And people can actually talk at the same time as well. We are actually working closely with Naluri, our professional support app, right? So it's actually just downloaded on your phone. And so it actually provides all the necessary support that you want. It's within a few clicks already. If you want mental health support, if you want like, financial support, it's there, right? We also work closely with Arena Oasis, right? So basically, if it's really critical when it comes to certain people, we actually channel them out to Arena Oasis, because if they really need a proper guide or coach or mentor or counseling sessions, then we actually channel them out to Arena Oasis, right? So basically this is the overview of it. Hold on, there's a lot of slides. This is the All-Star peer support team in terms of what we have across the different countries. Yeah. Some of the overall cases, which is not coming out, but hold on. It's quite slow, guys. Yeah, so this one is the Naru app. So what we do is we just actually have this everywhere, right? On our workplace, in the offices and all that. So people, if they want to just download the app, you can just QR code it. And, you can just sign up, right? And we can actually provide with different types of, counseling sessions, mental health, fitness coaching, dietitian, like if you need a dietitian, you can just log on to it, medical advisors, pharmacists, some people like require certain medicine as well. So we do have that kind of support as well, and financial coaching as well. So we have that right, on our app. Let me show you this one. Yes. So we work closely with our support system, with our external providers as well. And, this one, kudos goes out to my team, which is the culture team as well, and the business partners that's working in different countries to make this work, right? So these are all the different types of, programs that we've been doing so far over the past 18 months, right? From buddy talk, from dealing with stress with parenting during lockdown, looking at engaging with empathy. So, when you're a manager, sometimes you don't know how to deal with your team members via a screen, right? Because sometimes your emotional cues get misconstrued differently. And it does, even for me, it does, right? So we do have sessions with the manager as well, in terms of managing this. We've got the All-Star Health Coach Get Back on Track when people are gaining weight. We've got Rocking the Virtual Culture. We've got, different weekly people and culture updates from the different countries. And, we have different talks that's coming in from the different providers as well, right? To manage anxiety and stress. So basically, these are the things that's been ongoing, right? It's fantastic, guys, for me, and kudos to my team. Like I said, they did such a fantastic job, because we know that, no matter what, we need to deal with it, right? At first, we didn't really know what was happening, but then we realized that people are breaking down, right? We don't know why. So, and then we realize that it's different sorts of reasons, right? Could be financial, could be mental, could be other things happening at home as well, right? So could be work. So, there's a lot of things that people deal with and we don't know. And, what we practice in AirAsia, it's okay to not be okay. It's fine. It's not a taboo. You talk about it. If you need help, come to us or reach out to anybody, the peer support, your managers, whoever that you're comfortable with, as long as, there's an avenue for you to talk it out, right? Whether it's via an app, via through another person and all that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Intan. That's a lot of things that you are doing for your people, and I think that's good. I think most of it is something that Dr. Amanda and In has been sharing with also. The key takeaways we have here is about awareness of, because we're going to go into questions from the public, but let's have a quick takeaway: awareness of effect of mental health, learn how to identify it, importance of acknowledging it. We have seen real life experience from Intan in regards to that, and how to get help from where are the places you can get help. And for those besides the Talian Kase, you can also go to Befrienders. I know Befrienders do refer cases to AKPK as well. And I think that's fantastic. And of course, you have that the subscribed one, which Asia is taking, which is also good. So there are many channels to help. So now I would like to just ask, are there any questions that the public may want to ask? Please type it into your chat, and we will. And if there's a particular panelist that you want to address a question, just put the name after your question, and we will refer that question. So do we have any questions? Either John or Sarina? And while we're waiting for people to type in their questions, I believe that mental health is something, and I agree that you said that it's okay to be not okay. I like that. I think we all have to be able to take it, to be able to acknowledge. And we were just talking about this before the session start, about some of us do comfort eating, how we've put on weight, how we've lost weight. We're all human beings. We're all human beings. I comfort eat as well. And I've put on fat internally by looking at my cholesterol. It went sky high, although I don't put on weight, unfortunately, which is bad, So yeah, you just don't feel good. These are things that I have to identify. But yes, I think these are things that we never prepared for the pandemic. We never knew that it was going to be so long drawn. And that's why we have so much issues like this. So do we have any questions from the public? If not, then I would want to go one round with my panelists to give their best message that they would like to go out to the audience before we sign off. Let's start with the gentleman first, because he's the only gentleman among us ladies. So In, what is your best message that you want to send out to the public during this time?
I would like to shout about awareness on AKPK. We provide end-to-end financial management solutions from individual to SMEs, from tertiary and to workforce until retirement, from prevention to cure if you have any problem. So we have financial education. Please take note, if you want to learn about online learning, please go to power.akpk.org.ny, power.akpk.org.ny. If you have curiosity and want to talk about financial management, please come forward to come to our financial advisory. And you have a cash flow problems that leads to difficulties to manage your debt repayment, please come forward and do our debt management program, where you can go and put your details on the services.akpk.org.ny. And last but not least, I would like to give you 4 A's as a takeaways before we sign out. 1 A is acknowledge. You have to acknowledge that you have a financial problem. If you have a please acknowledge that earlier. Number 2 is analyze. You have to analyze your cash flow, you analyze your financial position. Then the number 3 is you have to act. Don't keep it to yourself. At least talk to people, and maybe talk to people, talk to friends, talk to your family members, and talk about it and seek solutions. Last but not least, if you have any problem that you cannot solve your problem, debt management, please come to 4th A, which is AKPK. So please, ladies and gentlemen, please remember 4As. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And over to you, Dr. Amanda, your power message before we sign off.
My power message would be just to live your life to the fullest. I think, yeah, just enjoy the little things in life. I mean, work must go on, but life must go on too. Just as interns have said before, just remember that now, because we're in the endemic phase, so the focus now more is on healthy living. So don't disregard that. Also, just because our dual vaccination rates has passed 95%, doesn't mean that you can just go around without your mask, without social distance, and then jump into any crowded place. Don't do that. We need to fly, man. We need to travel. So you have to take care of that also, okay? All right. So that's it from Dr. Unicorn. Thank you, Lynette.
Very good. Thank you. And Intan, what do you have to share? Your power message.
So for me, because I personally went through it as well, and I've seen other people gone through the worst during the pandemic, right? So for me, it's actually to acknowledge that, if you are seeing some kind of signs that we just talked about for the past 1 hour, it's okay to talk about it. And I think it's better for you to talk about it than keep it in, right? Because, at the end of the day, like learning to cope with stress and anxiety, right? It actually not only helps you, it also helps people that are around you, right? Your loved ones at home, the people that you work with, your team members, your peers, and everybody else, right? So if you are at peace with yourself, if you can cope with your stress, it will reflect into the way that you actually manage others as well, right? So I think it's, just acknowledging that signs that if you feel like, you're going through something, it's okay. And, it's okay to acknowledge it, and it's okay to just talk about it, right? It helps you to be more resilient, and it helps people around you to be more resilient, right? Yeah. So that's for me.
Thank you. All the wonderful statement. And last but not least, let me end by, we have the financial advisory clinic that's ongoing. So if after listening to this session and you say, hey, I want to talk to someone now, just head on to the financial advisory clinic within the financial literacy month, FLM 2021. It's a walk-in. You don't have to make an appointment. You see a table, you just go and sit down, because there will be a licensed financial planner to talk to you and help you with your whatever situation that you are having in terms of your finances. So with that, we've come to an end of our session. Thank you, Dr. Amanda, Intan, and In, and to Bank Negara and FLM. We hope you have a good session. Have a good, wonderful Sunday, and we hope to see you next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.